Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for over 350 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Lazy Turtle. Thank you, Lazy Turtle.
Thank you, Lazy Turtle. He's been a long-time listener.
Forever. And he's going to love this episode. I totally by accident, but, well, I mean, he has nostalgia for this year, too. We realize it's the 25th anniversary? Yeah, it's the 25th anniversary of the greatest year in gaming. Maybe. Because some people would argue like 2017's up there, right?
Yeah, I hear that, and I hear 2001 bandied about, and these are good arguments. There's some other years. I've heard some people say 2007. I'm like, what the fuck you smoking? But
yeah, well, see, here's the thing. Well, because 2007, because COD 4 came out. That's probably the reason. There's a whole lot of bros who found out about COD 4 and Peacoats the same time in 2007.
Yeah, I guess they were pretty manly-ass games, you know, like all those men games.
Yeah, there are guns.
There are guns. Well, speaking of men.
I like guns. What?
Well, speaking of men.
But we
manliness.
And manliness. Lazy Turtle, thank you so much. But also, we have a sponsor to thank. And, of course, we're talking about Manscaped. They are in the business of keeping your balls fresh.
Because after 25 years, you definitely want your balls to be fresh and ready and for action, regardless of, you know, what age you might be. Because after 25 years, you know, anything starts getting, you know, funky smelling.
Look, if you haven't taken a look at your balls in 25 years, I mean, now's the time, I guess. And they've got the perfect products to help you out. We're talking about the Lawnmower 4.0. This is our current favorite product of theirs, followed very closely by the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
That's right. Make sure you're getting, you know, treating yourself right. You know, you don't want like, you know, your doctor or whoever, you know, be the only one having to, like, you know, rub it out down there, you know.
Yeah, be kind. If you got a doctor's appointment, you put a little bit of this on your balls before they grab them and make you cough. I have this in 2 sizes. I have the little glass travel size too, which I'm going to hopefully be using more this year. I'm going to try and travel a little bit more this year.
If you're going to travel, you're definitely going to want to use it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take the whole kit. They give you the shed, which is an entire kit. Comes in this fancy little dot pouch, and it's got deodorant and ear trimmer and the Lawnmower 4.0, the ball deodorant,
the performance package 4.0.
Right.
And
you can add on
if you want to get the whole thing. I think you can still buy any of the other stuff individually, I believe.
Right. Yeah. No, you can buy any of the pieces individual, and then you can get the whole performance package, which comes with the Crop Preserver, the Lawnmower 4.0, and the ear trimmers, and I think the DOP kit is included in that. You can also get the Ultra Smooth package if you're a person who doesn't like to keep it short, you like to keep it gone. And it's a fancy little razor with a quick dry case, also built for travel and can go in your performance package.
Those people, you know, those people who want their Johnsons to look like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know, completely smooth all around.
Now, look, I'm not a man who judges another man's junk, but personally, I think if it's completely smooth, it looks weird. But I don't know. I'm not an expert.
Look, man,
have some hair. Just take care of it.
The lawnmower comes with all different sizes. You got like 4 different sizes, like right off the bat. And then if you want the ultra smooth, you could have the none. Right, so
for some reason, when you said none, I thought of nuns,
like the nun hair, none of that hair. You know, you think will really look like ET.
But last but not least, we're big fans of the Boxers 2.0. Now, I'm not wearing them today. I've already worn them this week, but
that's unfortunate.
I know they're super comfortable, and actually super comfortable in the heat. And I was expecting them to be like, you know, just fine in the winter, but they're kicking ass in the winter too. They're great. If you want to check out any of these products, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's code YoVG, all caps, at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you.
That's right. Keep them nice and tidy so you don't have to do any spring cleaning.
Oh, you're gonna have to do spring cleaning. If that's not their slogan for spring, it is gonna be now on this show.
Look, all I'm saying is that you can avoid having to do a major renovation in the springtime.
A lot of
get on it now.
So we're talking about the 25-year anniversary of Great 98, 1998.
Yeah. So yeah, this is something that's kind of been on my mind. And actually, not the 25th anniversary part. Like, I saw that like online on some social media post, and I was like, "Oh shit, is it 20?" No. And at first, there was the panic of like, "Oh my god, it's been 25 years."
You're old as shit.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still young and virile, strong.
But we've said it on this podcast, and I mentioned before. I think 98 is like the best year in video gaming. Like, flat out.
What other year could stand up to 98? And I'll list off a few of the games for 98. This is just off of a cursory list.
I think 2001 is a big year.
Okay, well, in 98, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Tekken 3, Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, StarCraft, Panzer Dragoon, Banjo-Kazooie, Thief, Baldur's Gate, Link's Awakening DX, International Superstar Soccer, which apparently people really fucking love because it got a 91 Metacritic, but Crash Bandicoot, Xenogears, Oddworld, NFL fucking Blitz, 1080 Snowboarding, Railroad Tycoon 2. Don't lie to me. We all liked it. We all had it on the PC. Turok 2, FIFA 99, Unreal, which blew my mind. You're the one who told me about this just before we started recording. Unreal started. And
Unreal 1 came out in 98.
The engine. And there were 3 programmers on Unreal. NBA Live 99, Ridge Racer Type 4, NHL 99, Wario Land 2, Need for Speed.
You're just going by the highest rated.
I'm literally listing off only the highest rated. These are all things that got 85 or higher on Metacritic or other critic rankings. Madden 99. Like, those are all the things that were fucking great. I'm not even talking about like personal favorites like Blasto, also in 98.
Well, and it's probably not going to be on there because I don't know if anyone even reviewed it, but Shining Force 3, one of my all-time favorite games all time. Well, the North American version came out in 98, and it's a little weird. Japan, it was like December 97, and then the other 2 games, Scenario 2 and 3, came out in 98, and then in America, Scenario 1 only, which the only one we got, came out in like July 98. So it's like, it's still kind of 98, or it's like, it's 98. It's a 98 game for all intents and purposes.
Well, I mean, interesting enough, GoldenEye was in GoldenEye and FF7 was in 97, but GoldenEye I think is still one of the highest grossing games in 98 too.
Yeah, because nobody could get it.
Yeah, it carried over. I mean,
do you remember I remember seeing the only time I ever saw it in our Best Buy, there was a deposit slip for rain checks for GoldenEye, for shipments of GoldenEye.
I don't remember exactly, but I want to say we didn't get GoldenEye until 98.
Like, my brother surprised me.
So, I mean,
97 was also a baller year for gaming. Don't get me wrong, but
not on the there was a lot of baller years, but not on this level. This is a busted ass level. Like, if you were a gamer in 98, you feasted. And
on anything,
single year
on the Sega Saturn, you feasted even in 98, because even if it didn't have a ton of releases, you had 2 options. One, you had 4 big first party games. 2 of them are amazing, and then you had all the import scene, which was still going strong in Japan.
Right.
Even if you're on Saturn, if you're on 64, it's hitting its stride in 98. If you're on PlayStation, you're getting everything. So many games. The PC is doing really well in 98, with Half-Life and Unreal and all this, and StarCraft and stuff. So it's like,
what's interesting about this, why we had such a great year and why we may never have another year like this. You had at least 3 powerhouse first party.
Yeah, it felt like everyone was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, everyone was punching. Like, they were punching at their weight class. You had Sega, you had PlayStation, you had Nintendo, and they were all trying to win.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I don't think you can think of another. Right now you've got Microsoft, PlayStation, and Nintendo, but like,
Unfortunately, Microsoft's like
still
just
waiting.
not there yet. I don't know what's going on with that poor company, but like the Xbox division is still waiting for games to any game to show up ever.
Well, it's like that Rick and Morty. Like Phil Spencer is that Rick and Morty character that's like still here, still selling fake doors. Like there's all sorts of announcements, but nothing's come to fruition yet. I have hope. I think Microsoft could. They could.
Well,
They
not
could
to
have
like
a
shit on
comeback.
anything, but like a bunch of the leads of Forza Horizon just announced the formation of a new game development studio.
Really?
They left Playground Games, and they wanted to make an open world AAA game on console and PC, in the same town they live in.
Open world driving?
Not they didn't say anything about driving.
But like the Forza guys, my understanding, love.
I guess they finally got tired, Andrew.
They finally like threw in the towel on that shit.
No, like
right.
Producer, director, and some others, some other leads, like creative leads, formed Maverick Game Studios, which makes a lot of people immediately go like,
"It's going to be flight sims. It's all flight sims."
Well,
so that's all it's ever going to be ever again.
So yeah, a bunch of the leads from Forza Horizon just left Playground Games which is. I feel kind of, man, that's not a great. That feels like another like slight blow to Microsoft a bit, where it's like, really, like one of the most consistent like franchises you have is Forza, and
right,
even they split between Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon, and the Horizon people are kind of like jumping ship now. It's like,
I don't know if it's an indictment on Microsoft or if it's just those guys picked a time to be risky.
It may be that. I mean, they also expanded Playground Games a couple years ago to make the new Fable, which makes a good point. I'm like, wait a minute, like they left Playground Games to make an open world AAA game. Did they not want to do Fable? Would that not be what Fable would be? And then you got to sit there and wonder. I'm like, well, maybe they didn't want to make Fable.
This is we're going to be doing this a lot in the coming months because there's potential here, but it does make sense that this might be one of the most exciting E3s we've ever done.
Yeah.
One, because the back half of the year is like just one big curtain, but also there's so much stuff that has been building up over the last, say, 5 years. Like so many questions that the potential for answers, the potential for Microsoft to sweep this year, to like have like a ton of shit to announce.
If stuff's ready, or at least ready to be shown, they could at least come out swinging.
Right. And same with PlayStation, same with Nintendo, even like there's there's real potential for everybody to have like a real powerhouse year.
Yeah. It's every one of them is interesting because Microsoft is interesting because it's like you've got so much stuff in the wings, and yet you're just been like you've been silent for so long. Sony's interesting because it's like you're on top. You're everyone. You're riding high right now. We don't really know a lot beyond Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, right? So it's like,
when's the next serious game?
Are you going to keep your momentum going? How serious are you about VR2? Which
probably not much.
From what I understand, like people say it's a really good headset, but there's two things that are really like kind of like, well, there's three things, I guess. There's a couple of things spoiling the party for VR2. Price, which I thought was way cheaper than it was going to be at $550. It's still wired, so you can't you could still trip over yourself if you're doing a stand-up experience.
Right.
And zero backwards compatibility with VR1 games.
I think the zero backwards compatibility thing is more of a killer than either of the other two things. Like why the price itself is rough, but it's even more rough if you can't play any of your old games at all. The wired thing is, I don't know. I didn't have that much problem or that much trouble with the wires before, but at the same time, I didn't play like a lot of VR.
But I understand it's comfortable. It looks really good. The eye tracking's really good on it. Like
much better quality screen and lenses this time, I imagine,
way
for
better.
550.
OLED lenses and 4K OLED lenses, two 2K lenses at OLED. So
yeah, so I mean, if you're a VR fanatic, you're probably gonna love PlayStation VR, assuming they release games with any sort of regularity. It seems like they dropped PSVR within months last time, so you'll know soon. If scalping is anything like it was for the PlayStation 5, you're going to have months to find out. You know, you're not necessarily risking anything.
But yeah, and of course Nintendo's sitting there with like Zelda will be out, and it's like, okay, how are you going? What are you going to do to like secure the future beyond that? You know, with your fucking dinosaur handheld. So,
well, they already showed you what they're going to do. They're going to release a new Wavebird. That's what they're going to do. That's it. You're tired of the Joy-Cons, I see. Here's a Wavebird. The greatest.
It was a comfortable controller, so I'll take it.
It was a fun controller. I don't know if it's the greatest controller that's ever been made, though.
But it's comfortable, and it did work.
360 controller. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that still had the little stick analog, but
yeah.
Either way, though,
back to the great 98.
Great 98.
Obviously, I feel like there's a lot of great games to choose from here. Zelda.
There's a lot of just like, I mean, there's a lot of games in general, but it's like, now we're not going to say, and I joke about this. I'm like, so many great anniversaries. Like, no one can stop Mr. Domino. Nobody cares about that game, and there will be the one fucking lone person who not only played that game but loved that game will come into my comments and be like, "Fuck you, I love it. Mr. Domino's great, underrated puzzle game." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever. But yes, fine. There are games like that, but like Marvel vs. Capcom 1 came out in arcades this month, 25 years ago.
I didn't. I mean, the list that I randomly looked up here is on Wikipedia, and it just has scoring at least 88 out of 100 Metacritic. You know, it's not a complete list, so that's kind of insane. I didn't even think about how good that year was for arcades, though.
Yes,
I was a 10-year-old lad.
Dance Dance Revolution came out in 1998.
Yep,
in arcades. So literally, the music rhythm genre was birthed in this year with the first DDR.
Incredible.
Resident Evil 2 at the end of this month came out worldwide. Came out in America a week early from Japan, but yeah, like RE2, the game that people still talk about, still play to this day. Just got a remake.
Literally, all of these games are games people still talk about. Like, you can't get us to shut the fuck up about our Ocarina of Time. You can't get Steve to stop talking about Tekken 3. You can't get people to stop talking about Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, I guess. StarCraft. But two days ago, I was visiting our friend who had one of the original special edition StarCraft Space Marine statuettes. And he like just pulled it out of storage because he finally had a place. You know the one I'm talking about? Like, it was way too high end. like the quality was way too high for the 90s. Like, he had one of those and it was like on an altar, you know. That was just
probably worth a ton of money.
Yeah.
He could buy a house in South Korea for that.
They only made 1,000 of them or something like that, and it's numbered.
Oh Jesus. Yes.
Yeah.
You could definitely buy a house in South Korea with that.
How many people still talk about Panzer Dragoon, Banjo-Kazooie, Baldur's Gate, Link's Awakening, for Christ's sake? Like, all of these are games that, like, have impact, have, like, they drive real audiences. We were just talking about how we wanted a 1080 to come back. You know, like, we literally just talked about that.
Yeah, and it was funny because, like, I bought that. I think I bought that because I was, like, waiting. I was getting impatient for a new N60. No, I didn't. I didn't buy it at launch. I bought it after launch. But I do have it. I have it somewhere.
Well, this is how dumb kids are. This is how dumb I was as a kid, really. I rented 1080 snowboarding.
I really should have
once a week.
It's not a long game.
Every summer. Or every week of summer for the summer of 1998. I think it was 98. Maybe it was 99. But every week this one particular summer, I rented 1080 snowboarding. At least once.
Really?
I could have just bought the damn thing.
But you probably, I mean,
I probably still save money because N64 games were
like
expensive.
$60. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like a 2 or 3 day rental was like $7.
That's actually a lot even
$7.
back then. It probably was cheaper than that.
Maybe it was $5. I don't remember exactly.
Either way, though, but
it was an expensive spot because it was kind of like the only walking distance video and game rental in the entire neighborhood. Like the next nearest was 3 or 4 miles away.
Right.
So, I rode a bike to grab a game
1080
and Surge, a bottle of Surge and
a bottle
sandwich.
of Surge.
Yes, and a game. We'd rent a game.
Your intestines must look like an amusement park.
My intestines still look like an amusement park. All the health problems I have today probably related to Surge. The chemical off runs of a runoff.
I don't know if we mentioned this because some people don't even know what Surge is, but like it in the 90s, one of Coca-Cola company's many attempts to battle Mountain Dew. So Mellow Yellow was one of them, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is a weird name for a drink loaded with caffeine.
My cousin drove the Mellow Yellow car in NASCAR.
There you go.
I never met this cousin, but apparently my cousin drove that car.
They had a thing called Surge, which was supposed to be Mountain Dew, but extreme, more extreme than Surge.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Surge was more extreme than Mountain Dew.
Yes, it was.
And I remember all the high schools, I heard about it from junior high and high schools around town in 98, had to stop selling Surge in their vending machines because it was making all the kids pee. Like it was causing like a massive like increase of people having to like leave middle of class to go piss because that shit went right through you. That's what I remember most about Surge was that you would have to pee like within.
I wonder if it was like it had more caffeine. Like I had no idea, but I wonder if it just had more caffeine than other sodas, or if
it had more caffeine than Mountain Dew, and that was like its claim to fame was like it was more caffeinated than Mountain Dew.
It'll make you a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Surge. You can buy Surge, cases of unopened Surge on eBay. People still get it. Still carbonated Surge.
I remember at the Six Flags in LA, they had a Surge shack.
Yes.
Base of the big fucking hill going up to Samurai Sun. What do I know this? They would sell icy, frosty versions of Surge.
Yeah. It's just straight crack. Amazing.
It pretty much was.
Yeah, this is but
this is some 98 nostalgia here for us where it's like, remember at the theme park and they sell the icy version at the Surge shack?
I guarantee that the majority of listeners are at least around our age, maybe a little bit older than this actually. And anyone who doesn't know what this is and doesn't have any feels in their guts about that, actually you're probably better off. We probably all have cancer from drinking Surge.
It's funny how short-lived it was because then they replaced it with Vault.
Yeah.
Which the only thing I can say about Vault is that it had the best commercial I've ever seen. With the farmer who makes a robotic scarecrow.
I don't remember. I guess I just don't remember.
Okay, so this is not 90. This is like 2000, whatever, like early 2000s, where he's like Farmer Fran or whatever his name was, like Farmer Ted. He's like, your scarecrow sucks. He's just like this farmer looking at like his all these crows on his scarecrow. He's like, what you need is an energy kick. Get Vault, and then like he goes into his barn and like the Frankenstein lab, he makes this big robotic scarecrow and it walks out and it literally like does like a Terminator like eye laser on the crow and vaporizes it in the commercial. Like, and not just crows, like vermin. It shows him like launching like shooting at like rabbits on the ground. It's like it'll go crows, vermin, hippies, and there's all these hippies in a powwow in his field, and he launches this like barrage of missiles at them. And like, this is the greatest. It's like, give your energy a kick, get Vault.
This is
so
insane.
Unnecessarily violent. I mean, it wasn't gory or anything. It was just the fact that they showed him vaporize a crow.
No, right? But do you ever like look back at
hippies?
You ever look back at like childhood stuff that seems so normal, and now you're just like, that was psychotic.
Yes.
Like, how much of that stuff? You just look back and you're just like,
But the funny thing is, I don't remember any commercial for Surge. I'm sure they exist. I just don't. I just remember
Oh yeah, they
seeing.
definitely did.
I remember seeing Surge, seeing it at the market, hearing about it, hearing kids talk about it. Seeing ad like remember when you would paper advertisements and mail.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's still a thing, and it
Yeah.
sucks. I
Nobody
don't know
looks at
who
it,
it
though.
works on, but it's still a thing. No, I mean the two main drinks I drank when I was drinking soda. Well, I guess it was like three actually, because I drank the OG Coke, Coca-Cola. Big fan of that. But then Cactus Cooler and
Hell yeah,
Surge.
Cactus Cooler. I remember
Cactus
back.
Cooler was the shit.
I remember a long time ago, like at a when I would go to like conventions all the time, like all the fucking time. There was like I remember like one of the friend of a friend was like obsessive, like because they would travel from out of state and they wanted to go to the market. And like, where do you need to go? I need to buy Cactus Cooler because they don't sell it. I guess they don't.
Cooler.
I guess they don't sell it. So I literally saw this person walk around a convention hall with a 2 liter of Cactus Cooler at all times. And they're like, because they loved, they just loved Cactus Cooler. So for whatever reason, he needed to buy as much as he could when he was out here.
Yeah, soda companies were the goat back then. Now it's all about energy drinks. Energy drinks dominate everything.
Yeah. If I was actually a good director and had money and whatever, I would actually love to make like, my Kevin Smith film of the convention scene days 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because for me, it wouldn't just be like, we're fucking weird nerds, but like just highlighting all the weird, different, eccentric personalities that I saw. Like,
right, there's an awkwardness to like geekdom of the 90s that I think has never really been captured properly.
Yeah, because there was that one film that I heard was like that, and it was an A24 film with Jonah Hill made it.
Oh, mid-90s. Yeah, it was supposed to be really good.
Was it? Okay, right?
Yeah.
I think, was that the name of the film, mid-90s?
Yeah, mid-90s. Yeah, no, I mean
it looked like the perfect, like, yeah, that looked like mid-90s to me.
I mean, it felt very much like an attack on 90s try-hard skater culture.
Sure, because that was such a huge part of it.
It was a huge part of it. Your airwalks, you had to wear tight shirts with a JanSport backpack and baggy pants.
Jinko jeans.
Yeah, which are making a comeback. Jesus. You know what else is making a comeback? Those big baggy parachute goth pants. That's making a comeback.
God,
the 90s and early 2000s are just swinging back around. They're going to slap us in the face with it.
The thing is, I don't want everything from this era coming. I definitely don't want the style coming back.
Kind of down with hip hugger jeans, though.
You're super. You're super against ska coming back for whatever reason.
I'm not against ska coming back. I listen to ska.
But
local band, Laundromat Robbery, still have their T-shirts somewhere.
But the games, man. I'm definitely a fan of these games coming back.
Well, okay, name me a year that competes with 98
for gaming.
Yeah, for the number and quality of games that we got. Is there
2001 is a good year for that? See, I would say like 91, but like I feel like 91, 92, and 93 are very evenly dispersed a little bit. Like 91, 92 is kind of like split a bit. But 2001, I know, is the one that comes up a lot.
Yeah. And 2001's pretty friggin' good.
Yes, it is.
So here's a list for people who need a refresher: Halo, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Metal Gear Solid 2, Grand Theft Auto 3, Gran Turismo 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Max Payne, which I sounded like, in hindsight, people seem to shit on Max Payne more than, but at the time, Max Payne was the shit. Devil May Cry, Animal Crossing, Silent Hill 2, Conker's Bad Fur Day, yes, Onimusha Warlords, actually,
the first one,
SSX Tricky, Jak and Daxter the Precursor, Red Faction was a great game, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Advance Wars, Twisted Metal Black, Serious Sam the First Encounter, which I had a stupid good time with. Nothing really fancy on that game, but Oni, Agent Under Fire, James Bond 007, which Agent Under Fire, if I remember correctly, got a lot of love at the time.
We enjoyed that game personally, like a stupid amount.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 2, Soul Reaver 2, Crash Bandicoot,
Wrath of Cortex, I believe, is the
Wrath
game.
of Cortex, yeah. And others. There's a bunch of Dead or Alive 3, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Final Fantasy Chronicles.
Pretty good year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it
solid.
lives up to 98 though.
I could see it in the running. I'm not sure that it quite lives up. There's a lot of great games, but 98 has like an overwhelming amount of games.
Yeah, if it's definitely like maybe second place, if not the best.
All right, let's see 2007 because people say 2007.
Which it's a good year, sure, but
2007, pretty good. BioShock, COD 4, Team Fortress 2. Good year for shooters so far. Super Mario Galaxy, Portal, Assassin's Creed, Crysis, Halo 3, God of War 2.
Assassin's Creed 1 sucked. Let's be real here.
Which one?
Assassin's Creed 1.
It's
not good.
I liked it, but
it's
two
terrible,
blows it out of the water.
Like 2 saved that series.
I would say that 2 definitely blows it way out of the water. Stalker, which I didn't play at the time, but later on
it was everywhere.
Really loved that. Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Kane and Lynch, Dead Men. Manhunt 2, Mass Effect came out. It's Silent Hill Origins, The Darkness. The Darkness was fun. I don't know if I'd say that it's an amazing game.
It's a good year.
It's a good year, but this isn't overwhelming. I wouldn't say this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
98 is overwhelmingly good, but this is a good year. 2001, maybe. This is a really good. 2007 was extremely good for shooters, so it was very good for me personally. I liked it a lot.
And you didn't even say Halo 3 in there, did you? That came out in 2007.
Yeah, I said Halo 3. Halo 3 came out in 2007.
Yeah.
Which, Halo 2 is more.
Well, the thing was, it's 2007 brought me back into first-person shooters. Probably because that year was
a
so
lot
good.
Of people. Yeah.
But COD 4 that game was a bit of a revolution for me. It was probably the second or third, probably the second game where I could say I had a pretty much flawless internet experience. Like,
right.
I didn't really like online. Online gaming was cumbersome to me. Cumbersome getting it up and running and working and blah, blah, blah.
I think Xbox changed that, though.
Well, the thing is, so my first major online gaming experience was Phantasy Star Online on Dreamcast, and it worked.
It did work, but it still was sort of rough to.
I didn't have problems that I would encounter in later games, with connection issues and stuff. Probably because if you had connection issues, basically it would just drop the player from the game and the game would just continue on. You wouldn't even. It would take you a second to realize you weren't playing with people anymore.
Right. Yeah, you just keep going.
It just looked like someone teleported back to town or logged out or whatever. So really good, but also had really good simple ways to connect with people, to communicate, to keep in touch, kind of thing. It was good. I did not like online gaming, and I did not find it very intuitive until COD 4. But it's also a little bit of COD 4 with party chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I told, I was talking about this on the weekend with Steve. I said, the thing that sold me on Xbox 360 over PS3 was party chat. Because online was becoming such a major integral part of gaming at the time. And the thing is, when I saw how party chat worked and that you could be in a party talking to your friends and you didn't even have to be in the same game. You could be on the menu, you could be in completely off of other games, whatever. And you don't have to, and you wouldn't hear any of the other fucking assholes online. And I was like, that's amazing. And that's that literally was the game changer for me, was party chat, doing that. So
yeah, I think that COD 4 probably really sealed the deal for online shooters for me. I bought COD 4 on a whim.
Really?
I had played like Medal of Honor online. I don't remember which Medal of Honor, but it was like it was the popular Medal of Honor to play online. And I had played like Conker's Bad Fur Day Live and Reloaded. I played online a lot.
Yeah, that's right. The remake.
But I can't remember. I was playing, maybe it was Gears of War. What was it that did Gears of War come out before COD 4?
I think it was. No, it might have been. Maybe? No, I think it was. I think it was 2006. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing a shooter, and a friend of ours, DJ, was like, "Oh, I got Call of Duty 4," and I was like, I'm not good. I don't want to go back to, because I had somehow missed all news of Call of Duty 4.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Here's how much news I missed of it. I was like, I'm burnt out on World War II games. And he was
you
like,
didn't know it was modern.
I didn't. It's in the fucking name, and I didn't. And he was just like, no, you've got to check it out. And so I went and bought it on his recommendation alone, thinking like, we'll see. Loved it. Honestly, made shooters. It sort of revitalized shooters in general for me, because I really was sort of getting burnt out on shooters at the time. Amazing. But I think that might be the only game I played religiously that entire year, which says a lot for that game. But it also means that, like,
I think you were one of the most reliable people to be on between the hours of like 8 and something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. On Xbox 360, there was a short period of time where I was #1 in the world for score on Call of Duty 4. Like, I was playing it.
Because you and your brother found some fucking exploits for scores, though.
No, we just got really good at search and destroy, and at the time,
no, you did.
Yeah,
you did. But then you would do things where, like, you would blow up a whole team at the immediate start of a match on Bog.
Yeah, he and I, more him than me, found out that you could, from one match, launch yeah, it's his fault. He's also the person, as far as I know, that found the one-man army thing with noob tubes. But yeah, we figured that out. I figured out how to use one single magazine of an RPK, because I found out that it was 3 rounds from an RPK to kill a person. And so I could use a single magazine and only kill each person with 3 rounds and like milk an entire, like, I didn't have to reload for an entire game of search and destroy. Like, you just, like, it was fucking ever. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I played the shit out of that game too much. But also, when you're like 19, I think I was like 18 or 19. Yeah, I was 18 when it came out. You just got that kind of time. Like, even to this day, Call of Duty is probably mostly dominated either by streamers / professional players, or teens and college students that have a lot of time to like get in there and learn every fucking nuance of the game.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine I think he's like 24, within an hour of Building 21 on Modern Warfare 2 coming out, Building 21 being the new DMZ map.
Yeah.
Within an hour, he had the entire building memorized. I still don't. I have like maybe one floor of that shit is committed to memory, where I know generally where I'm going, but like, he knows if somebody's over here fighting on this floor, he knows how to drop down, go over to the other side, race up behind him. Oh, and he goes like, follow me, and I do. I just follow that dude. Loyal puppy behind him. I'm gonna get some kills. Whatever. He's gonna remember all that shit. I think he has like 280 hours in the game. Right? I don't have time like that anymore. But when I did, I played the shit out of Call of Duty 4, which is probably why I love it as much as I do, right? We all get first fuck syndrome for that game that we could play the shit out of.
Well, but this is simplicity to COD 4 too, where you didn't have loadouts.
Yeah, every map had 3 lanes, 5 loadouts,
streaks, and blah 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 blah. So
right,
there was a good
I was
simplicity.
A simple man.
Everyone had the same shit. Everyone had the same,
and there was basically no bad guns in that game. There was a couple.
And like the best gun was the one you started with, so it's like,
yeah.
There was never any sort of like, I played longer, I have an advantage. Like, no, the only advantage you have is map knowledge and whatever,
right?
Which feels fair.
And knowing all of that, 2007, while good, does not beat 1998.
Yeah,
just for the sheer variety of amazing games.
Yeah, and you could. I feel like with some games in '98, there was a real attempt to sort of I don't want to say broaden horizons, but broaden horizons a bit, right? Like Metal Gear Solid was really trying to push narrative and stealth gameplay, which did exist, but like was not a focal point
Right.
of gaming. Most gaming was still sort of just very much based on the last 5 years of run, shoot, get key card.
Pretty much, yeah. Everything's a fetch quest.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with run, like, like you said, Serious Sam came out that year, and what a great game. But there was, even though the arcade experience had a good year, like it was a good year for arcade games, there was a bit more push to move away from the arcade-like experience to give you something that was more, or just couldn't really be done in an arcade. Like you couldn't do you can't do a Metal Gear game in an arcade.
Well, I think one thing that you're getting at here is that 98 was ambitious.
Yeah.
People
were finally familiar with 3D polygonal games, at least to a point where it's like, okay, now we can, we didn't know how to make a character move in 3D space. Now we know how to make characters move in 3D spaces. So now what can we do with it that's actually like unique or good?
How many genres do you think were explored or pushed in 2022? Like how many genres did the big three really try to delve into?
None.
Well, I mean, like
there's some stuff in the indie space, but like,
no, but I mean, like they didn't, like in 1998, you have platformers, adventure games, stealth action games.
Yeah.
You have first person shooters. You have survival horror having like a big push forward. Resident Evil 2, while some people would say RE1 was more of a revelation than Resident Evil 2 was, Resident Evil 2 is still pushing forward the survival horror genre. Parasite Eve came out in 1998. Fallout 2, you have StarCraft, which is considered one of the best RTSs. When's the last time you were like, yeah, an RTS is like top of the line? Not in 2022. There wasn't an RTS that I can think of that everybody was like, holy shit. You had Rogue Squadron. You look at just in those, there's 5-6 genres that were just like the limits were being pushed.
Yeah,
like the best.
Yeah, and Rogue Squadron is an interesting one because like there was a lot of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. There was a lot of those games on PC space that had been sort of kind of pushing.
Console. Yeah,
but it was like, I feel like Rogue Squadron was kind of a weird breakthrough. Where like,
how so?
It was because it broke into the mainstream, but two, like it didn't require a crazy PC setup. Remember how like joysticks used to be a major part of PC gaming?
Yeah, well, I see what you're saying though. Is like it made flight sims fun.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. I feel like if anything, it broke into the mainstream. It made them accessible. Right. There's like an accessibility to Rogue Squadron that really like pushed that sort of flight sim. Because I don't want to say Rogue Squadron was like revolutionary. It wasn't. It took what PC games were doing for the years leading up to that, and then really just made it mainstream and like really accessible. And I don't know, like there's something about Rogue Squadron just really like pushed that whole kind of genre into the limelight kind of thing.
Yeah, I can buy that.
And again, like the music rhythm genre got started with Dance Dance Revolution. Everyone probably remembers the first time they saw it, or like, what the fuck is this?
Bowling alley down the street,
right? But like you see, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then you see, you grasp it really quickly. Oh, just up, down, left, right. Press the buttons. Hey, you do it in time to the rhythm. Pretty cool. But it's still going.
Yeah,
to this day. Like that's another thing to even look at here. It's like, okay, because again, like you said, Resident Evil 2, it didn't start the survival horror genre. It didn't even like really get it going, but like it definitely was the most popular at the time. It was the best selling of the original Resident Evil games until like 5 or something like that. Like,
which is insane to think about.
Yeah, just overall sales. Like it was the best selling one for a very long time. So you had that. Bust a Groove came out, which that's niche. But like, hey, people love Bust a Groove. Again,
right.
Rhythm games kind of got going in 98 somehow.
Well, they somehow got like Do you remember how there'd be groups of regulars around it, and they'd basically hog the DDR machine in the arcade?
Yeah.
Like, and like
Yeah.
there was a guy in the area that I grew up at, a place, Mount Asia. It's This guy would bring, like, before Gym Bros brought those big water bottles, like those big ass like igloo, like before Gym Bros brought their 1 gallon of water, this guy had like an igloo, and he would have like a little like lunch pail type thing with like snacks and stuff, and he would be there all day, and that's all he did was DDR. And he was a really nice guy, but that's insane. Like, I'm not saying that that guy was like, no, that guy was insane. I don't know. That guy that guy had a screw loose, probably.
But he was in shape, probably.
He was in shape. He was in superior shape. My brother, when he first started getting into shape to go to college, like before he was going to college, there was like a summer where he did DDR every day. Like, insane. But it had like this culture, and like they would update, not sometimes they wouldn't get a new machine and they would just update the songs, and that was always a huge deal. Or when there was a new DDR machine, huge deal. Or like there was one day where they replaced the pads, like they had new floor pads. And like there was just this huge line of regulars who were like always all about it, wanted to use the damn. I mean, just incredible, the cult following that it got. It's sort of like the cult following the Time Crisis got, specifically Time Crisis 2, but like anybody who likes shooters, especially arcade shooters, like that got a huge cult following where like,
well, one, because the guns, if they were working, would like snap back and forth
back,
on the top, clack back, and you had a foot pedal, and it was like a screen for each player.
Super cool. Yeah, and it was by other standards, it was super interactive.
Yeah.
You know? Love that. Arcade scene in 98 was probably fun. We should look up what arcade games released in 98.
Well, Marvel's Capcom 1 did, let's see, Fatal Fury 2, for anyone who plays SNK. Radiant Silver Gun in Japan had its arcade release. Yeah. Street Fighter Alpha 3 had its arcade release in 98. Like, holy shit. Like, many consider that still the best arcade, the best alpha game. Again, Dance Dance Revolution.
I don't have a good thing that coin-operated machines released in 19.
But then there's also
Area 51.
But there's also the thing where it's like, I don't know, because release dates in arcades are kind of funky to really tell.
Right.
Especially in America. So we don't really know when a game technically released or when did your local arcade get it, kind of thing. So you might have, in 98, you might have gotten a game that technically came out in 97, but you wouldn't have any idea.
Right. Like, when did House of the Dead 2 come out?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, like
because it was a launch title in Dreamcast in Japan, so it was either early 99 or late 98, something like that.
Because Family Fun Arcade had, I want to say House of the Dead 2. They got a brand new House of the Dead 2, and I don't remember if we were friends at the time, but I remember a bunch of my friends and I like piling down there. Because they got a new House of the Dead arcade too. This is after it had been released. This is long after. Like, I think I was in high school, but they had gotten a new one, and like doesn't that blow your mind? They were still making new arcade cabinets. So this had to be like pre-2000. This had to be like 2005 or earlier. So it must have been like I was a freshman in high school and went to a Family Fun Arcade.
Family Fun. It's to play a light gun shooter of all things, not a fighting game.
Yeah. Well, I didn't play a ton of fighting games. Like, if you're gonna play fighting games and you lived where I live, it was like Tilt. And you had your particular fighting game, which for my brother was Mortal Kombat. He played a lot more fighting games than I did. mostly because I was trash. Still am trash. I am trash at fighting games, but he loved them.
Here's some other crazy stats for 98. Yeah, the best-selling home video games of Japan, the United States, and Germany. I guess they didn't have any other tracking data for other European countries. So worldwide, Pokemon Red and Blue, and Yellow combined, all the different versions of Pokemon Gen 1, Resident Evil 2, Ocarina of Time, Gran Turismo, Tekken 3, GoldenEye,
right.
Metal Gear Solid, some Dragon Quest Monsters game for Game Boy Color, Crash Bandicoot 3 followed by 2. That's worldwide. So, but breaking it down between regions, best-selling game in 98 in North America, Ocarina of Time. N64 carried Nintendo through that whole system's life, let me tell you.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Ocarina of Time was the best-selling game by 3-1 in North America for Ocarina of Time. Then it was Gran Turismo, Resident Evil 2, GoldenEye, Tekken 3, Banjo-Kazooie, Tomb Raider 3, Pokemon Red and Blue, Mario 64, even though the game was old at that point, and FIFA
But
99.
also, Mario 64 was sold with, wasn't that a bundle game too?
Nope. Never sold.
Really?
Never sold with the system.
I feel like we definitely got it when we got an N64 though. Mario seems like that.
I'm sure stores bundled it, like forced bundled it or whatever, but like, yeah, it was never a
official bundle.
In North America, it was never a package deal.
Wow.
Yeah, Japan is Pokemon, Biohazard, Resident Evil 2. Yeah, this is weird one. Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, here's Japan's weirdness. Pokemon's the best-selling game, followed by Biohazard 2, followed by a Dragon Quest game on Game Boy Color for 3, Gran Turismo, Tekken 3, Yu-Gi-Oh on PlayStation 1, Parasite Eve, Tales of Destiny, Ocarina of Time is 9th because Japan didn't give a fuck about that system, and then Xenogears for number 10, rounding out the 10 best selling games of Japan that year. Craziness, right?
You trying to say that you don't love Yu-Gi-Oh?
It was the 6th best selling game of the year for Japan that in 98. Where like it didn't even chart out here, comparatively speaking. Just insanity to me. I don't know.
Is that why they designed the PS5 the way they designed it? They were like, finally, people think Saito is back.
Here's a fun one. The highest grossing arcade games in Japan in 1998. Tekken 3, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, King of Fighters 98, Virtua Fighter 3, King of Fighters 97, Virtua Striker 2, which is a soccer game.
What's the source for this?
This is on Wikipedia, which comes from Game Est magazine in Japan. Cyber Troopers, Virtual On 2 was 8th. Street Fighter EX2, and Virtua Striker 98 edition. That's pretty cool.
Another reason I went to Family Fun Arcade all the time is they had a Virtua On cabinet that was like the type you get inside of.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like most others were like they didn't even use the fancy joystick that had like a thumb pad and the trigger. Most of them were just like the regular green whatever joystick. Looks like a butt plug. They had the butt plug joysticks, whatever. But Family Fun Arcade had a 2-person where you get into a cockpit. And you have the buttons and the joystick with the trigger and everything.
You had the 2 joysticks for Virtual On.
Yeah. Fucking great.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the follow-up Oratorio Tangram that came out in '98 in Japanese arcades. So
98 really might be the best year. Period.
Yeah, right.
Like if you look at 92. Which was the other one that you said, right? 92?
Yeah, but I think it's really split with like 91, 92. I don't think 91 had a lot of games, but 92 did as well. But I don't think it was like, I think they're spread out a little more there. I don't know.
Right. I'll go down because 92 does have some pretty classic games, and it's got Shining Force. but I feel like a lot of I guess the first Shin Megami Tensei is in 92 as well.
In Japan only.
Yeah. So its top ones are Super Mario Kart, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Mario Land 2, Mario Paint, Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Kirby's Dream Land, Dragon Quest V, Wolfenstein 3D, Final Fantasy V, Streets of Rage 2, Monster in My Pocket, which I don't know about, but Contra 3, The Alien Wars. Like, there's some pretty classic stuff here that nostalgia is, high for. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. I didn't realize that came out in 92.
Oh, yeah.
But does this beat 98?
No.
It's good. It's good.
No. And I would say, like, looking back at 98, what have we lost? And I think the big thing we've lost that we wish maybe was still around is probably Metal Gear Solid, because, like, all of those other big games, like Zelda's still going strong. I guess you could say Half-Life, because Valve doesn't make games anymore.
Pretty much, yeah.
And StarCraft kind of hurts, because, like, 2 was a big deal, but it didn't really... I don't think 2 ever got anywhere close to 1.
It didn't have lasting power like 1 did.
No, it didn't. Blizzard's kind of a shit show now.
Fallout is sort of meandering. It's got 4, which 4 came out in 2017? 2016?
Something like that. And they're basically just been spending the last few years repairing 76.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about 76. We did their whole experience at E3. I totally forgot about 76.
We sure did.
Left me holding the bag after you said some awkward shit and walked away.
Yep. I was trying to get the actors to break character, but they're way too good.
I don't remember what you said. You said something, and then you left, and I had to pile into a small room to take a picture or something like that with everyone else, and everyone was just glaring at me as though we were lovers or something, and I was there to defend your honor. Some bullshit.
I was trying to say weird shit to get the actors to basically break character, but they wouldn't break character because whoever they hired is really damn good at their job.
Well, I mean, given that it's the city for it, right? You got a lot of not just actors, but actors. Like devoted people to the craft. Gotta respect them.
Let me talk about some games that are I think fly under the radar a bit, but are really good. Right. Vigilante 8.
Okay.
My favorite of the car combat games.
Really, of all car combat games, Metal Black. It's
Vigilante 8.
Okay.
Twisted Metal Black is like it lives up to its namesake, but everything is fucking gray in that game. I kind of like Vigilante 8's way more colorful 70s aesthetic because it's during the OPEC crisis.
Yeah.
So it's about like a war on gas. But it's a lot more colorful, and I like the secrets more in Vigilante 8, and I like the controls, like the vehicles more. But I get it. Twisted Metal Black is a classic, of course. But Vigilante 8, I feel really, really underrated. Not for me personally, but I do feel that the Pocket Fighter, the little chibi fighting version of Street Fighter, was released. It's a cult classic. For sure. It's a really good game. Came out in 98. Flies under a lot of people's radar. But yeah, the console version of that came out at least in 98, I should say. F-Zero X, that was a big 98 game. I know for a lot of people, like Brave Fencer Musashi came out that year. I think Brave Fencer Musashi was like good, but comparatively speaking, for other real-time action games, like it's eh. That one's kind of one of those things where it's like, look, I know it's got like a big fucking fan base who were kids
and people wanted to come back.
Yes, but
I wanted to come back.
I'll just say, like, yeah, it's okay. Star Ocean, the second story. The last great Star Ocean game came out in 98.
Tenchu came out in 98.
Although we did play. I remember some years back we played that on stream. Holy God, the controls in Tenchu 1.
It did not age. It didn't age good. Tenchu 2 is significantly better, though, anyway.
Oof. It was, I'm not going to say Iggy's Wrecking Balls, but, Iggy's Wrecking Balls.
Okay.
There's a Manscaped sponsorship joke in there somewhere.
We'll find it. We'll find it.
Revenge, WCW versus NWO Revenge came out in 98. Now, WCW NWO World Tour came out the year before, but Wrestling Games, and that was good, but it had a small roster and it was a little kind of like just kind of lost the shuffle bit. But WCW versus NWO Revenge on the N64, that was the wrestling game that blew Wrestling Games up.
Even more than Warzone?
Warzone was there, and I do remember that. I don't want to but what I most remember about Warzone was the fact that everyone was excited for it, and then we played it, and we were kind of like,
Well, so the WCW one is the one that had the character creator, right?
It did.
Right. Yeah, that was the first wrestling game that had a character creator, wasn't it?
I don't know if it's
That was like actually a huge deal in my grade school.
But yeah, it had the Royal Rumble. It's the Aki, wrestling style game.
Yeah.
The best wrestling, mechanics ever, still to this day. And arguably WCW NWO Revenge is the big one, the one that like really put it on the map. And that's a big 98 game. So it was also a big year for platformers, Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro the Dragon 1, and Crash Bandicoot 3. Like, come on now.
And Blasto.
Here's one I do want to...
Don't glaze over it. Blasto. Let's drink it in. It was a platformer third-person shooter. It was ahead of its time.
Nice because of Phil Hartman. That's it.
It was ahead of its time, and it had celebrity voicing. Incredible.
Speaking of ahead of its time, 98, it was delayed forever, finally came out in 98, Body Harvest. People don't know this. This was made by DMA Designed, which means doesn't mean anything. They are now known as Rockstar North, the Grand Theft Auto 3 developer. So on N64, you can play a game called Body Harvest, which is an alien invasion game, and it is an open world game on the N64. That's incredible. It is, obviously very constrained by its hardware. It's got a lot of fog. Things are very low poly for what it is. But a lot of people don't know this. They kind of just glossed over it. And it was one of those games, like, when it came out, people didn't know what to make of it. Like, the idea of such a free-form, open, giant game was just kind of like, what? Like, bizarre to people. They were almost, like, lost and confused. Now, it's not one map. It's actually, it's multiple maps of around different places around the globe, and they're fucking enormous. And it's go anywhere, get in a vehicle, drive around, go into houses, kind of like hijack stuff. It is in all ways pretty much the precursor to Grand Theft Auto 3 on the N64. It's a really weird, bizarre sort of anomaly where it's like, it was because people like, oh, Grand Theft Auto 3, even though it's part 3, they thought it was this revolution, the way you could move and interact in a 3D space with that game. Because, all GTA 1 and 2 were little overhead games, right?
They were overhead 2D games, yeah.
Overhead 2D, yeah. So a lot of people think, wow, like they really just sprung up with this part 3. And it's like, actually, no, there was a game before GTA 3 that was a lot of the foundation of GTA 3 is in Body Harvest.
Wow. Yeah, so, I never actually played Body Harvest at all.
I don't think a lot of people did. It kind of had like a whatever looking cover. It looked like another sort of just like, we shit this out this month Midway game from like some arcade game you may or may not have heard of. That's just whatever. It's like a weekend rental. It's like, it just had that look, and it was published by Midway. Everything you looked at when you looked at that, you just like, didn't tell you what you were getting, what you would be getting yourself into.
The little blurb for it, September 30th, 1998. Earth is dead. Mankind annihilated. Hunted to extinction by a century of alien attacks. Yeah, I'm in. Dick's hard. Ready to go. Let's do it. Let's fight some alien invaders. Come on.
It's such a bizarre thing. But yeah, like, you think 2001 is, that's where Grand Theft Auto really started. Well, 98 again. Kind of the game where it really originated. And of course, I really got to shout out, Shining Force 3, my favorite strategy RPG of all time, in the 3 whole game scenarios that it is, and Panzer Dragoon Saga, which there were, there's a couple of games in 98 where the ambition outmatched its scope. what they could do. You know what I mean?
Dragoon's probably one of them.
Panzer Dragoon is one of them.
Hmm.
But I feel it actually holds up way better than Xenogears. People always get mad at me for saying this because Xenogears, oh my god, they went so philosophical and deep. Yeah, and the pacing is trash. Panzer Dragoon Saga is very short by comparison, but it is like the battle system is still fun to play and still engaging, and it is still like you're looking like, wow, like the graphics are so rough, but man, are they really they're really thinking of some crazy shit. It's like
not to end the episode out on a shit ass note, but like pacing in games doesn't seem like it was a thing that developers really thought about until I don't know the last 10 years. Like I think most good paced games were happy accidents.
yeah,
Look at RPGs. RPGs had some of the worst pacing, period. And love many of them. Final Fantasy VII, we talked about how there's whole sections of that game that are just like a fucking drag on the rest of the game in terms of like pacing and story. But we love that shit. You're like, would you ever consent to take out Chocobo Racing?
And 7's not even that bad in comparison to how I feel the games that followed it.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, 8 is notorious for having terrible
8
pacing.
And even 9 and 10, like there's more kind of like this could have been cut parts. Like 7 feels like you could have 7 is a game where it's like you could have trimmed some spots down.
Right.
Where like 8, 9, and 10, I feel are like these are games that have whole fucking areas that didn't need to be there.
That I don't care about. Yeah, I sort of wonder, like, how did they nail it so hard? And is it nostalgia? Is it nostalgia, or is it just objectively that 98 was just fucking chef's kiss?
Well, that's the hard thing to say, but I feel like we made a case because again, you look at all this stuff, genre starters, best of its franchise, still arguably the best. Like people will still argue Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda game to this day. People will still argue Metal Gear Solid 1 is the best Metal Gear game to this day.
Right.
Like you can make an argument that Crash Bandicoot 3 is the best Crash Bandicoot game to this day.
I forgot that South Park came out. Their first game came out.
Yeah, but that game's trash.
Oh God. Yeah, but do you remember the splash it made? Made such a splash.
It did because it was a first-person shooter, which people loved, and it was South Park.
Mutilate cows.
And then in 98, in Japan only, Sonic Adventure 3 came out right at the end of the year. And people still think Sonic Adventure 3, or Sonic Adventure 1, and people still think Sonic Adventure 1 is good to this day. It's not, but people think it is.
People have hopes. All right, so what do you guys think? Do you think we just have first fuck syndrome for 1998, or do you agree that 98 probably the best year we've seen? Or if you think there's a year that beats it, I guess hit me with that. I can't think of a year that like legitimately trounces 98. 2017 was good. 2017, I'll end it on saying some of the games that came out in 2017 for anybody that doesn't remember. Nier Automata, Mario Odyssey, Prey, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Hellblade, Little Nightmares for whoever gives a shit about that, Neo, Injustice 2, Gran Turismo Sport, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Metroid Samus Returns, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 remastered, South Park The Fractured Butthole, Evil Within 2, Divinity Original Sin 2, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Assassin's Creed Origins. Like, it's a solid, and I mean, I'm only halfway down the list.
Sonic Mania came out in 2017. 4. Cuphead came out in 2017. Ys 8 came out in 2017.
Ys 8 was great. Yeah,
Yakuza
Gravity
0.
Rush 2. Like, 2017's pretty solid, but I don't know if it pushes. Like, there's so many genres in 98 that just, like, pushed forward. I guess that's sort of true about 2017, too, though. I don't know. Let us know. You can.
I think 2017, 2001, 98, those are, like, big contention years for best.
We'll do a poll when we release this tomorrow. 2017 versus 1998. You can hit that up on Twitter at Funkmachine, PHUNKMACHINE, or you can hit up Matt on Twitter.
Yeah, at Doom Assist Me.
Or on Twitch if you want to watch him play some of these games.
at twitch.tv/assistmedoom.
Because you're going to be doing some of these 25-year.
Again, I want to hit the big ones, do the 25th anniversary on close to the day they came out. That won't include every game in 98. I'm not playing No One Stops Mr. Domino. I'm sorry.
But you will play Blasto. You'll do it for me. You'll suffer through Blasto for me.
No. I'll play Iggy's Wrecking Balls. How about that?
But you love platformers. You love platformers.
It feels almost an insult to call Blasto a platform. I mean, it is, but it's so bad. It controls so terribly.
The controls are legitimately. Blasto might be the worst controlling game I've ever played, and that's saying a lot. But as always, we've got producers to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Lazy Turtle. I hope you really enjoyed that, Lazy Turtle. Got your nostalgia boner going. And our producers for this episode are Ziggy Z, HyperViper89, Kuroi35, and Screw Nami. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.